Most wins in a month in Mariners history. Bob, how fun is this?
It's a lot of fun. If you're a Mariner fan and you're not having fun with this, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, what surprised me about that is that the 2001 team didn't achieve that. Now, I think they had 4 months of 20 wins, which is pretty darn spectacular. But the fact that this is the winningest month in the history of this franchise, amazing, amazing. And the way they've done it, they've kind of, that last win, you kind of piece it together with great bullpen, great, your pitching has bailed you out in a couple of games where the offense didn't come to life within this stretch. So, it's just cool to see that they just seem to have an answer. With if the starter's not there, we saw the emergency start for Luke Weaver. He gives up 3 runs right out of the gate, and you're like, oh boy, this is gonna be bad. Now they ended up losing that game, but the bullpen goes 5 into third, shutout ball, 2 hits, no walks. That's amazing. I mean, they kept them in the game. They gave their team an opportunity to win, and that's just an example of what's been going right for this team in the situations where, maybe years past you go, all right, they got no chance in this game. They just find a way.
Jarred Kelenic is starting a rehab assignment tonight in Tacoma. How will he fit back in?
I've asked this question to some of our guests because, he had such an interesting season. He started out so on fire, and everybody was like, this is the guy we have been hoping for and hearing about, and he's living up to his potential, and he's hitting 450-foot bombs in Wrigley Field and all of that. And then he kind of slowed down, and then right before he hurt himself, he was on a 7-game hit streak, and so I'm like, all right, so did he do enough to earn a spot? I don't think he has. I don't think you just throw him back in and say, you're our left fielder now. That's it. I think you find matchups that are favorable, to where he can kind of get his rhythm back, because he's been out for a good chunk of time. And it's almost like spring training again, to some extent. So I'm guessing they have the luxury of having Cade Marlowe and all that. They feel like we don't have to rush him back. We can just spot him here and there until he looks like he's found his rhythm, and then maybe he becomes more and more prominent out there. But I'd love to see him out there as much as possible once he finds it, once he feels comfortable. Outside of Julio, he's their best outfielder. He's their best defensive outfielder behind Julio. And we saw what he could do with the bat during the season, especially early. So if he can get that going again, it's a massive addition.
What do you make of the hot streak for Teoscar Hernández?
I love it. I mean, I love the signing in the offseason, and then he just kind of, like the whole offense, wasn't great to start the year, and then June hit, and his numbers in June were fantastic. And you're like, oh, awesome. He found it. We got Teo, and then July was absolutely dreadful. He hit 200 with a 248 on base in July. It was awful. And you're like, okay, what's going on? Now August, even better than June. Off the charts, and he would be the star of the team. He'd be the talking point, if not for Julio's 26 hits or 28 hits in 10 games. I mean, Julio had to go on a historic run to overshadow what Teo's done, which has been crucial, and as evidence by the finale against the A's, where he hits the 3-run home run to tie it up. So he's come up with some clutch moments. He's been what we were hoping to see throughout the season. It's been fantastic.
How do you feel about the bullpen going into September?
I feel pretty good. I mean, like I said, just the other night, they go 5 1/3 shutout, where you asked a lot of them. And collectively, they've done a nice job. Now, Munoz is looking better. He looked good yesterday. He's had some shaky spots. Brash has had some shaky spots. So I don't know if they have a guy that you just say, that's the guy we're going to with everything on the line. The way you did with Sewald. Sewald kind of worked his way into being your high leverage guy, whether that was the 8th or 9th, wherever that was. I felt like Topa might have been their most consistent guy. If you asked me of the 3, who would I throw out there with the game on the line? Probably Topa. He's just been more consistent. He doesn't have the stuff that Brash and Munoz have. But collectively as a bullpen, I feel pretty good about it. I do. Not settled on a closer, but collectively I think they're in a good spot.
All right, time for the big question. Who's going to win the AL West?
It's going to be the Mariners or the Astros. It's coming down to those 2 teams, and man, the Astros are rolling right now. They've won 7 of 10. They've won 5 in a row. It's the longest winning streak in baseball right now. Guys are getting healthy. They're getting guys back. So I want the Mariners. I want to say the Mariners. going to say the Mariners. I'm going to say the Mariners. But I think it's going to come down to those two teams. I think the Rangers are going to find their way out of it. They just seem to be floundering right now for whatever reason. They're pitching. But yeah, I think it's going to be nip and tuck, and the final 10 games of the season are going to be unreal. You got 7 against the Rangers, 3 against the Astros. We'll see what the Mariners can do in between, up until that 10-game stretch, but I can't wait for that. This city's going to be buzzing. It's going to be on fire, and I can't wait.